Alphacore has finally arrived. The latest book from the Rippaverse has arrived in my house, specifically right here. Here is the evidence. Alphacore #1. I'll have a full review coming to boundingintocomics.com in the next week or so. But first, I just want to give you my initial thoughts. You'll see my article up here previewing Alphacore. If you don't know about it somehow yet, check that article out. You can find the link in the description today. But I gotta say, I'm going to try really hard here not to get too excited. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to leave out a lot of details. But I'm just going to say, if you like superhero comics, if you're kind of sick of the mainstream Big Two superhero presentation, I really think you're going to enjoy this book. And I got to be honest, I was a little nervous to open it up. I was kind of both excited and hesitant because, let's be honest, as you see in the article here, I really hyped this book a lot up in the public and to myself. This, to me, really, I don't want to say make or break for the Rippaverse, but it's a big book for the Rippaverse because it's the first time that Eric July is bringing in such heavy hitters in the industry with writer Chuck Dixon and artist Joe Bennett. So I was looking forward to this book. These are two of my favorite creators in comics here on a book from Eric July, someone whose work I really enjoy and respect. And I'm going to say, this book really delivers. It really does. And I'm not going to be a total Rippaverse simp here. I'll be totally honest. ISOM #1 didn't blow me away. I liked it. It interested me enough to see what was next, but it didn't completely blow me away. ISOM #2, I thought was quite a bit of an improvement on that. This book, though, this to me shows that the Rippaverse means business. This is fresh. You do not need to have ever read ISOM 1 or 2 if that's holding you back, by the way. If you just want a fresh start, I think Alphacore #1 is a perfectly fresh way to start your journey into the Rippaverse if you're looking for a comic alternative. Also, a lot of complaints about the prices of these books. I think the original ISOM #1 was clocking in at $35, $36. These are $28, so some of that concern has been met with this book as well, lowering the price. And to be honest, you get 96 pages of comics in this puppy, of brand new, fresh comics in this puppy. And I think the biggest difference I can see between this book and ISOM #1 and 2, no disrespect to Eric July, it was his first 2 times ever writing a comic book, but the writing of Chuck Dixon really, really stands out. The dialogue is a lot more natural. There are so many different dynamics between the characters, both the Accept characters, the superhumans, but we meet a number of human characters that they interact with it as well that are able to come into their own personality within the confines of this 96-page book. So I think for 96 pages of content at $28, not that bad a deal if you think about it here, compared to what you get from a lot of other stuff out there, a lot of similar offerings out there. But if I was going to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, which I'm going to because it's my video, I can do whatever I want, I would probably, let me go back, let me give you some perspective. I'd probably give ISOM a 6, 6.5. ISOM #2, maybe a 7-ish, inching up there, 6.5, 7, improving. This, I would probably give an 8. I think the writing is excellent. Again, I'm not going to really detail the plot here, but let's just say it's not straightforward. There are some twists. There are some things, even within this book, that I didn't see coming. And there's a lot left that we don't know. There's a lot left to be desired. That might be my only sort of complaint, is that there's a lot about how this team came together we don't know. There's a lot about the specifics of the characters that we don't know, what their exact power sets are, things like that we don't know, but we don't necessarily need to know all of that in this first issue because they want us to come back for more. And I can tell you, my friends, this really had the vibe to me as someone who started reading comics in the early 90s. This really had the vibe, different, but it had a bit of the vibe of like early 90s Valiant comics. And to me, that's a very good thing because I love early 90s Valiant comics. They're superheroes for sure. They're recognizable as a superhero book, but a little more adult. Not over the top adult, but a little more adult than you're going to get from Marvel and DC. But at the end of the day, this was fresh. This was new. This really, really did show me that the Rippaverse has arrived. The Rippaverse is growing up really fast. My friends, stay tuned in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that little notification bell if you enjoyed this content, and I really do encourage you to check out Alphacore. Keep an eye over at boundingintocomics.com for my full review in the next week.